More than 300 million people in the world are expected to be in need of humanitarian assistance and protection by this year alone. It is no different for Ethiopia, with recent conflicts and natural crisis still having an impact. An expected 20 million people are estimated to be in need of humanitarian assistance. World Vision, a Christian humanitarian organization that has been working for decades in Ethiopia, is one of the active organizations working on child protection and gender-based violence, in which, with its different response plans, it was able to reach 2 million people across all regions of the country.
So we see children and women at the center of our families, the community and the nation. So protecting children and women actually has rewards for the rest of society. From World Vision side over the past year, given the many humanitarian challenges with conflict and insecurity, drought, displacement, we have seen an increased need in protecting, keeping women and children safe to be resilient against many shocks that have been perpetuated, including violence. So World Vision has been working in different directions in the country, in the north, the west, the centre and the south, on really walking with women and children in trying to provide services, to assist, to support, but also working on mindset shifts around preventing violence taking place in the first place.
These activities and many more were showcased in a workshop organized by World Vision to discuss the impacts of its humanitarian work and share stories of overcoming humanitarian challenges and successes in mindset change.
Stories have been the way that people have passed on information for generations throughout the world, including in Ethiopia. And we think that given so many challenges and problems in the world, sometimes our own aid and development humanitarian work, statistics, governments can focus a lot on numbers. We can talk about millions of people need this, tens of thousands of people have been affected by that, and somehow over time it can really numb us from thinking about the individual people who sit behind those numbers. So we think it's important that, yes, we need to know the size of the problem, but at the end of the day, each one of us has our own family story, how personally we are affected by a situation in a negative way, but also how transformation and hope can be given to an individual or a family or community. So we think one way to do that is to tell more stories. And rather than just hearing bad and negative stories around, telling stories of hope, stories of empowerment, of inspiration, can be a way to motivate us to be encouraged, to see some solutions and to support in a different way.
The stories presented ranged from restoration of life for conflict-affected areas, which included a heartbreaking story from a 13-year-old boy who lost his mother during the crisis in the Tigray region in the past years. During their testimonial, after being reunited by the World Vision staff, the young boy's grandmother appealed for peace. Other stories include a transformation and activism of women in Afar in combating female genital mutilation, as well as a phase leader's activism in Amara region in fighting against early child marriage, in places where it's still prevalent.
ትልቁ ክፍተት እንግዲህ አሁን በአሃዝ የተደገፉ መረጃዎችን ብናገር
The biggest gap, if I speak based on data, is about 40% of children are weighed before they are 18, while around 36% are victims to child labor. When we add conflict-affected areas, these numbers increase exponentially.
መፈናቀል ግጭት ባለባቸው አካባቢዎች ደግሞ እነኚህ ችግሮች እጅግ የከፉ ይሆናሉ። ችግሮቹ እንደዚህ ተባብሶ እያሉ የሚሰጠው ምላሽ ግን አናሳ ነው። ትልቅ ክፍተት አለ ማለት ነው። በህግ ደረጃ
While we can see that the problems are still worse, the response to them has been weak. Ethiopia has laws that protect against these offenses. But in most rural areas, the officials' willingness to enforce it has been low in effort.
ኃላፊነት ያለባቸው መከላከል ላይም ሆነ ችግሩ ሲከሰት ምላሽ መስጠት ላይ ያለው ስራ እጅግ በጣም ዝቅተኛ ነው። ስለዚህ ቅድም ያልኳቸው ችግሮች አሁን ወርልድ ቪዥን የሚሰራባቸው አካባቢዎች ላይ ፊገሮቹ አሃዞቹ ዝቅተኛ ናቸው። ለምሳሌ
The places World Vision has been working on have low figure numbers for the problems I mentioned earlier. We work on prevention and education. We also work on capacity building for the officials, creating a mindset change within the community and a better response from the law enforcers in the area.
Through its child protection interventions, World Vision has stated it was able to reunite 1,843 unaccompanied and separated children, while also arranging alternative care for children who lost their families during the crisis. Other activities include gender-based violence prevention programs and rehabilitation of conflict-affected people, including working with social workers on their mental health.